I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Air Pollution Control District of Santa Barbara County. Please join me in the pledge. Roll call, please.
Director Clark?
Here.
Perotti?
Here.
Adam?
Here.
Mosby?
Here.
Patino?
Here.
Rubalcaba? Sierra?
Here.
Toussaint? Hart?
Here.
Hartman?
Here.
Murillo?
Here.
And Chair Williams.
Here. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lavanino's also here. If anybody cares.
We very much care, Mr. Lavanino. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will have one public comment when we return from closed session, but if there is a member of the public that wishes to submit a public comment, you can send an email to las@spcapcd.org. That's LAS at Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District, all the first letters, .org, if you wish to submit public comment. With that, we are going to need about 5 minutes to recess to close session to set everything up. So in North County, just don't wonder why we're taking 5 minutes.
And I do have to read the item into the record.
Thank you.
Okay. Closed session, item C1, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, paragraph 4 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9, deciding whether to initiate civil litigation, one case. Item C2, conference with real property negotiator, Government Code Section 54956.8, property assessor's parcel number 105073009, address 153 East Clark Avenue, Orchid, California 93455. Agency negotiator, Air Pollution Control Officer Aaron Arlen Janae and Susan Freeborn, real property agent 2, County of Santa Barbara. Negotiating party Manny Nunez, JD, CBRE Investment Properties. Under negotiation, price and terms. Conference with labor, item C3, conference with labor negotiator, Government Code Section 54957.6. District designated representative, Chair Doss William. District Counsel Rachel Van Mullum, unrepresented employee, Air Pollution Control Officer Aaron Arlen Janae. Item C4, public employee appointment, Government Code Section 54957B1, title Air Pollution Control Officer.
We will recess to close session and begin in about 5 minutes. I'd like to call us back from closed session. Is there anything to report in closed session?
Mr. Chair, members of the board met in closed session on 4 items. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, 1 case, conference with real property negotiators, conference with labor negotiator, and public employee appointment, and the board took no reportable action.
And can I get a motion on the minutes?
Move approval.
Second for Mario.
There's a motion by Hartman, second by Murillo. Roll call, please.
Director Clark? Director Perotti?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Mosby?
Aye.
Patino?
Aye.
Sierra?
Aye.
Lavanino?
Aye.
Hart?
Aye.
Hartman?
Aye.
Murillo?
Aye.
And Chair Williams.
Aye. And I believe we have public comment? Okay. Is there any of the admin items that anyone wishes to pull? Then can I get a motion on the admin items?
And Mr. Chair, I'm just confirming there's no public comment on the admin items.
No public comment on the admin items.
Move approval of the balance of the agenda, or the balance of the administrative agenda.
Motion by Hartman. Is there a second? Second by Hart. Roll call, please.
Director Perotti?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Mosby?
Aye.
Patino?
Aye.
Sierra?
Aye.
Lavanino?
Aye.
Hart?
Aye.
Hartman?
Aye.
Murillo?
Aye.
And Chair Williams.
Aye. Can we get is there a director's report this month?
There is a director's report. I have a few items I'd like to talk about. First, it's the recent wildfire smoke and exceedances. As we are all aware, smoke from the wildfires burning throughout California has had an unprecedented effect on our county as well in the last several months and has shown just how far smoke can travel and linger. We've all become extremely aware, I believe, of the air quality index, what the AQI value is. I'm just surprised of all my friends that are talking about the number. And since our last board meeting, unfortunately, we've had very high levels of both PM 10.25 and ozone. We've exceeded the state and federal standard 17 times for the state standard of PM 10. We've exceeded the PM 2.5 standard 9 times, and ozone, we've had 4 exceedances. So it's been a very high pollution time since the last time we got together. During this time, we've issued 3 air quality alerts in both English and Spanish. We've worked with the county public health officer, and we shared 91 social media messages across Twitter, Instagram, and Nextdoor. Our primary focus has been to ensure that individuals stay aware of their local air quality conditions, and when they are impacted by smoke, have a way or have an understanding of a clean air room environment and how important it is to create your own clean air room and stay inside when it's high levels. With smoke being top of the mind during this time, we've also seen an increase in the number of followers on our social media outlets. We've increased the number of air quality alerts who are subscribing for those alerts by over 1,000 new subscribers. We also have a public opinion survey that we're conducting right now. It was launched as part of our launch for our Clean Air Grant program. But in this survey, we're trying to gauge a better understanding of individuals throughout the county, their knowledge of what a clean air room is, and if they have actually taken steps to implement a clean air room. As I just mentioned ozone and the exceedances, I wanted to briefly talk about the ozone attainment in our region. And This is sad news. It's frustrating news, but it's coming our way. Although we were recently designated as attainment for the ozone standard, and that officially took place by the Office of Administrative Law in California. It occurred in July of this year. We were contacted last week by CARB regarding an exceedance in 2019, which Joel will be presenting in the annual air quality report, that will lead to a change in our designation back to non-attainment. CARB will be holding a workshop October 20th to discuss these changes that are occurring throughout California, and then they'll bring this item to the board in December. With the 2020 exceedances that I just mentioned and the potential linkage of these exceedances and wildfires, we are gathering data to prepare for exceptional event submittal for ozone and particulate matter. But for ozone, the exceedances occurred during excessive heat and stagnant air conditions, which leads to high ozone levels. And this makes it very difficult to point wildfires to the cause for the high levels. So a lot of the exceedances that we've experienced in 2020 will likely also be contributing to a continuation of our non-attainment for the state ozone standard. We will be addressing our attainment status in the triennial update of our ozone plan, which is scheduled now to come to your board for consideration in 2022. And when we talked to CARB staff about this and the fact that we were recently designated attainment and now we're seeing non-attainment in our near horizon, it's something that happens in areas that move into attainment and back and forth. So, you know, it could be just a pattern that we're going to be toggling back and forth for a few years until hopefully we're fully in attainment and it sticks for good. Obviously, that's our goal. On good news front, we have completed a soft launch of our new website last month. We're using the soft launch period to consider tweaks that need to be made to the new elements, and we expect to be able to go with a very pronounced launch later this month, and we're going to include that as an awareness campaign for our agency, and just providing the website as a great resource in both English and Spanish to get your air quality information and resources. So if you or your staff have had a chance to look at our new website, I welcome any comments or suggestions that you might have on making it even better. I sent out an email last week, I believe, when we heard that CARB announced approximately $1 million being earmarked for the Marine Vessel Speed Reduction Program. And this is a partnership not only in Santa Barbara Channel, but now in the Bay Area. The funding comes from a settlement that CARB entered with Del Monte Fresh Produce, and it's allowing this program to extend an additional 2 years. So funding has always been a challenge because the funding can't come from the traditional Carl Moyer or 923 type grant programs. So we're very excited to see that this program was selected by CARB. Ventura County APCD will be managing the funds, and a portion of that money has been earmarked or will be earmarked to cover district staff time to implement this program. So a little over $46,000 will be awarded to Santa Barbara APCD over the next 2 fiscal years for our time in promoting and evaluating and conducting outreach for the VSR program. And then the last item I wanted to mention, typically when we have new staff, I really appreciate the opportunity to bring the new staff here when we are all in the same room and you can see them, and I like to introduce them. However, with COVID and the prolonged remote participation, both here and in Santa Maria, I just wanted to take this opportunity to highlight some of the recent hires we've had of staff who have joined us this year. Maria San Juana Salas joined our administrative division. She recently moved to Santa Barbara with her family. She was born and raised in Bakersfield and previously worked for Kern County Aging and Adult Services. In her role for the district, Maria provides administrative support to all divisions. And she has been one of the essential staff that have been coming into the office a couple times a week to ensure that permits are processed and all of our other needs that need actual humans pushing paper and processing materials is underway. So it's been very nice to have Maria join us. We have hired 2 new engineers in our engineering division. Eli Berg, he recently graduated from Columbia University with a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering, and Occidental College with a bachelor's in physics through a combined 3-2 plan. At Columbia, he played club soccer, and at the district, Eli will be working as a permit engineer for us. Chase Ogden is the second engineer, and both of these two engineers were hired on the exact same day. So we've been able to streamline a lot of our training and their understanding and knowledge and what we do here in the engineering division. Chase grew up in San Diego, and he earned a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from UC San Diego, and he also earned a master's degree from Clemson University. In college, Chase was involved in NC2A basketball, playing and volunteering, and now I know he's also seeking out coaching opportunities now that he's up in the Central Coast. At the district, Chase will handle our source testing and assisting with permitting. We also have two new interns that we were able to bring on. Deja Perry is an outreach intern. She grew up in Sacramento, recently graduated from UCSB in environmental studies, and she's helping us with our social media, graphics, and other outreach items. And Shireen Mohab, I knew I was going to challenge this, unfortunately, I jinxed myself. Mohammed Zada joined as a compliance intern. She's an environmental studies major from UCSB and is set to graduate in June 2021. In her role, she'll be reviewing annual reports and conducting diesel emergency generator inspections. I'm sure it's been extremely challenging and interesting as they join a new agency while we're working remote. I've seen a few of these individuals in person. I've seen them more often on Zoom than not, and I am so much looking forward to the opportunity we can all be back in the office and working in a collaborative way in person. So hopefully in the near future that will occur. But that concludes my director's report.
And I thank you both to our new and our continuing staff for their hard work in this time. We have public comment.
Chair Williams, we do have a public comment, and they requested us to give them a call.
Great.
Yes, hello?
I think you're ready.
Okay, I'm just pulling up my,
If you wouldn't mind speaking up a
pulling up my
little bit.
statement on my laptop, sorry. Okay. Good afternoon, board members and everybody at home. My name is Jamie Diamond, and I'm the owner at Stardust Sport Fishing here in Santa Barbara. While grateful for the Carl Moyer program and the funding it provides small businesses like mine, for years, I have felt the local APCD has created far stricter rules for applicants than other counties. For example, Santa Barbara is by far the most restrictive in terms of use of equipment and funding available, with a max of $150,000 in Southern California. Also, California Air Resources Board claims state jurisdiction out to 24 nautical miles, but the Santa Barbara Air Pollution Control District restricts it to county waters only. People in Ventura County who receive funding must only operate in Ventura County, therefore eliminating, for example, Santa Barbara businesses from applying, while our local department allows businesses to operate in San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura County, allowing our funding pool to be depleted by out-of-county businesses. The program as a whole has made it difficult as well, forcing applicants to pay up front and provide proof of payment before being reimbursed. The program should pay directly to the vendor or to the applicant so they can then pay the vendor. Most applicants are not able to finance a large project and should not be forced to take out a loan and go into debt if they're already approved for and receiving a grant. Furthermore, terms used to be about 5 years, now terms are 10 to 15. Going back to funding, it only takes a moment to look at last year's funded projects in Ventura County and others to see projects were funded well over $150,000 and they cover up to 85% of the cost on marine repowers. SLO County funds up to $500,000. I'm here to ask the board for two things. For this in the next few cycles, to remove the prepayment restriction on businesses. COVID has already placed a huge burden on us all. It was hard enough to get a boat-related loan pre-COVID. I cannot imagine how hard it will be now, especially if you have suffered economic losses. Second, after speaking with representatives from the Carl Moyer program and the California Air Resources Board, I understand it is up to the discretion of each county to set funding limits. I ask that you raise the funding threshold to be equitable and competitive with other districts at or as close as possible to $500,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Diamond. And we have two items for discussion. Let's start with the second year of our pilot program.
All right. Today, Emily Waddington, an air quality specialist in our planning division, will be providing the presentation on the proposed Year 2 Landscape Equipment Electrification Fund Program. LEAF, it's much easier to say than that long-winded title. Based on the success of the first year pilot program, this is a very exciting time for us to bring Year 2 to your board for consideration. And if possible, we'd like to request that you ask questions and comments, you hold those until after she completes her presentation. Her presentation will take about 10 minutes.
And I do have to read the item into the record. Discussion item H1, Landscape Equipment Electrification Fund Program, Year 2. Approve and authorize the Air Pollution Control Officer to use up to $100,000 from the district's Clean Air Fund to establish and implement the Landscape Equipment Electrification Fund Program, Year 2.
Good afternoon, Chair Williams and Board Directors. As Aaron mentioned, my name is Emily Waddington, and I'm here to present to you today on the proposed Landscape Equipment Electrification Fund, or LEAF program, Year 2. First, I'll be going over the outcome of our LEAF pilot program, then how the county is affected by landscape equipment emissions, followed by what is happening at the statewide level for reduction of landscape equipment emissions. Then I'll go over proposed updates to Year 2 of the LEAF program, staff recommendations, and then I can take your questions. The District Board approved the LEAF pilot program with Resolution 1919 in December of 2019. Funded with $100,000 from the district's Clean Air Fund, the pilot program distributed vouchers for the purchase of electric landscape equipment on a first-come, first-served basis to eligible organizations, which included commercial landscape businesses, as well as public agencies and schools or school districts that perform their own landscape maintenance and are located or do business within the county. The vouchers of up to $10,000 each were used for the purchase of electric mowers, leaf blowers and vacuums, edgers, trimmers, chainsaws, and pole saws. The voucher covered up to 60% of the purchase price for landscape equipment and up to 100% of the purchase price for an additional battery or charger for each piece of equipment purchased. The pilot program ran successfully over the spring and summer of 2020. The district received considerable interest in the program, with a total request of over $164,000 in funding, exceeding the program's budget of $100,000. The pilot program offered vouchers to 7 businesses, 1 public agency, and 10 schools, and provided funding for 293 pieces of new electric landscape equipment. The program received interest countywide, as you can see on this pie chart that breaks down participation by region. The district issued a survey and received valuable feedback from the participants of the pilot program. On the graphic to the left, you can see that participants have experienced both benefits and challenges using their new electric equipment. The most common benefits that organizations are enjoying include that the new equipment is quiet, effective, produces no exhaust, are easy to use, and do not require refueling. The largest challenge mentioned was the frequency and length of time required to recharge the equipment batteries. The graphic on the right shows how overall participants were highly satisfied with the electric equipment, with blowers rated the highest at 4.8 on a scale of 1 to 5, and lawnmowers rated the lowest at 3.7. We received testimonials from participants, and I'll read one of them to you from a local landscape company. The electric landscape equipment has been a game changer for us. Our customers and employees appreciate the quiet, clean, and extremely efficient tools. The batteries are comfortable to wear, charge quickly and fully, and last through the day. No more oil mixes, spills, fumes, and trips to the gas station to fill our cans. This is the wave of the future, and I highly recommend these. Landscape equipment emits a variety of air pollutants, including ozone precursors such as ROC and NOx, carbon monoxide, PM 2.5, black carbon, and toxic air contaminants that are normally found in gasoline and diesel emissions. What are the effects of this pollution? There are regional impacts due to ozone or smog formation. There are neighborhood impacts, including complaints that the district receives about the operation of landscape equipment, and there are health effects to operators of the equipment who are breathing in the fumes. The figure on the top left shows countywide inventory data estimating ozone precursor emissions, ROC and NOx, that each type of landscape equipment emitted in 2019. All the emission inventory data on this slide is provided by CARB's CPAM trend tool. As you can see, lawnmowers and lawn tractors polluted the most countywide, with 1/3 of a ton of ozone precursor emissions per day, and the lowest were trimmers at 1/10 a ton of emissions per day. Overall, landscape equipment emits 2% of the county's total onshore ozone precursor emissions. But these emissions still lead to neighborhood and health impacts as they occur at ground level in populated areas. The figure on the top right of the slide shows that without intervention, ozone precursor emissions from landscape equipment are expected to exceed those emissions from light-duty passenger cars in Santa Barbara County near 2029. As other emission categories get cleaner, ozone precursor emissions from landscape equipment are not expected to decrease drastically under business-as-usual circumstances. CARB is working to update statewide regulations to further reduce landscape equipment emissions. CARB is currently considering reduced emission standards for the sale of new landscape equipment, including the requirement for all new sales to be zero emission by 2028. To help with this effort, CARB recently released a new small off-road engines model called SOAR 2020, which uses updated data to estimate landscape equipment emissions and includes different implementation scenarios in the future. CARB's Carl Moyer program funds can be used to establish an incentive program to replace gasoline lawnmowers with electric mowers, but the program is time-intensive to set up, and the guidelines are restrictive. Feedback from the pilot program participant survey, along with lessons learned during operation of the pilot program, were used to improve the proposed program design for Year 2, as laid out in the LEAF program Year 2 work plan included in your board packet. Proposed changes to Year 2 of the program include using a ranking system to prioritize projects and a specified application submittal period, rather than funding projects on a first-come, first-served basis. The proposed ranking system prioritizes applicants that are on the wait list from the pilot program, applicants located or operating in a state-designated AB 1550 low-income community, and new applicants. Secondly, we are proposing to expand the type of organizations eligible to receive vouchers to include nonprofit agencies. Well, next, while the pilot program did not involve disposal of old gasoline equipment, a voluntary disposal incentive for organizations wishing to discard their old gasoline equipment is proposed for the second year. Next, year one's program funded only one battery or charger at 100% cost per piece of equipment purchased. Instead, in year two, we propose to allow participants to purchase one additional battery and one additional charger at 60% cost per piece of equipment purchased. Lastly, we propose that the maximum voucher amount be reduced from $10,000 to $7,000 to allow more organizations to participate in the program. The district has identified up to $100,000 from the district's Clean Air Fund to implement this program. The district's Clean Air Fund was established by the district board in March of 2019 with Resolution 1903. The Clean Air Fund is funded by notice of violation revenues for projects undertaken by the district and/or third parties that provide air quality and human health benefits to the Santa Barbara County community. The Clean Air Fund is included in the district's budget for fiscal year 2020 to 21. Additionally, if Cali VIP, a statewide program to incentivize installation of electric vehicle charging infrastructure, is delayed in fiscal year 2020-21, the district may seek board approval to add up to $100,000 of funds currently allocated for the district's participation in Cali VIP to the LEAF program year 2 budget. Staff recommends that the board take action to approve and authorize the Air Pollution Control Officer to use up to $100,000 from the district's Clean Air Fund to establish and implement the LEAF program year 2. Upon board action, we would begin countywide outreach in English and Spanish, including finalizing application and outreach materials, reaching out to local retailers to offer testing of equipment and help advertise the program, and launching with press releases and outreach to eligible organizations. We propose to open the application window in November of 2020 with additional outreach activities as the response warrants. Thank you, and at this time, I can take any questions.
Questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, I have one. Ms. Lavanino.
Mr. Lavino?
Thanks. On page 5, the chart that has the landscape and passenger car emissions, I'm just trying to better understand that. So it says that the bullet point at the bottom is 2% of the county's onshore ozone precursors emissions come from landscape tools. I'm reading that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So my question is, okay, so it looks like on the chart that right now cars, light-duty passenger is only 2 times as much as landscape equipment. So I'm trying to figure out where the balance of all the impacts are. I thought vehicle traffic and light cars was like 70% of what we were dealing with, or 60 or 70%.
Well, this figure includes light-duty passenger vehicles only. It doesn't include all transportation emissions. So that could be a factor in why the light-duty passenger vehicle emissions are a little bit smaller than you'd think.
Okay, so if we look at this chart, I'm just trying to, because I mean, this is really good news, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But if in 2027 we can get, it looks like cars are going to be down where landscape equipment is, and we are in the process of actually lowering that green line. I'm trying to figure out what's left for APCD to do because from what I understand, we don't regulate transportation, and I always thought that was, and like you said, this isn't talking about trucks and those types of things, but I thought, maybe it was just me, but I always thought that the 101 with all the cars on it was our number 1 or number 2 abuser.
We're focused on this slide that Emily brought up for ozone precursors. So you could see here the yellow, light yellow color is the on-road mobile source, and that includes both the light duty and the heavy duty, correct? So you could see that's around 26%, and where the Air District has regulatory authority is within the stationary source, which is 30%. And area source, I guess, from a CEQA point of view is where we weigh in on our review of proposed projects and how that may impact. And you can also see here the 2% that's for the lawn and garden. I think where you may be headed is probably more on the greenhouse gas aspect, where mobile source emissions have a higher percentage impact of our total greenhouse gas emissions countywide. And we don't have a slide in this presentation that's related to greenhouse gases. We focus solely on ozone precursors, which we regulate.
Other questions from the board?
Yeah, I have one.
Mr. Adam?
Yeah, can you tell us how much a ton per ton of pollutant, and I guess that'd be NOx and ROx, that we're saving here? Or it's costing?
We don't have a cost effectiveness value for the program right now. The emission reductions would be difficult to calculate for the program as it is, because we aren't following the disposal of equipment and how much emissions would be reduced from disposing of old gasoline and diesel landscape equipment.
Yeah, when we did the pilot project, we just wanted to start the process in a streamlined fashion that would allow the district to earmark the limited funds available to interested entities, whether they're government, schools, or landscape companies themselves. And we elected with year one not to have a disposal component because it takes quite a bit of effort in our old car buyback to have the disposal component incorporated. So we elected to focus more on education and awareness and utilization of the equipment. We did hear back in the survey from a few participants of year one that they thought having a disposal requirement would be a positive, and it would also allow us to better quantify the overall emission reductions that we're securing, so we can rest assured that when we purchase an electric piece of equipment, the gasoline equipment was going to be recycled. So with that information and that addition into year two, we will be able to better quantify those individuals that voluntarily elect to dispose of their old piece of equipment. But it is a very small, still, at $100,000, it's still a very small project. But with that information of the replacement and disposal, we'll be able to have better calculations to present to you in the future.
So I mean, it looks like you're, excuse me, it looks like you're saving, I mean, the calibration on this graph is obviously pretty gross because it's such a large graph and there's hardly any difference between 1 and 0.08 or 0.8. But, you know, I don't know what you're saving. It seems like you're saving a de minimis amount and it's costing you $100,000. And so, you know, it could be $100,000 a ton. If there was a ton saved total all year, it could be $100,000 a ton. That's all I'm saying. Which, you know, it's arguably worth the effort.
I think what we could do going forward is we can evaluate more the emission benefits of the program and the longevity of the equipment that's used and how long they're able to use the electric piece of equipment versus the gas equipment that's being replaced, and bring that information back.
That'd be really helpful. And I definitely appreciate that you're adding the retirement component to the program.
I have a question.
Yes, Director Patino. And then we'll go
Yes.
to Director Hartman.
On page 5 of 7, It says the district will work with landscape equipment retailers in the county to create opportunities for interested organizations to test the electric equipment. Now, and then it says on the timeline, the application acceptance window is November. So where are you going to set these places up so they can test the equipment to know if they like it or not, or want to use it, or want to buy into this? And then the applications start in November.
Well, we will reach out. We are proposing to reach out to local retailers. We already have local retailers identified that were used quite a bit by participants of the pilot program, and work with them to offer some way for anyone interested to come in and try out the new equipment. And with the proposed application window, they would be able to have some time to be able to test it out. We were talking about maybe a 45-day application window, which would give them hopefully enough time to be able to go in there and try out the equipment.
So where are these local retailers in Santa Maria?
I do have a list here. In Santa Maria, we have identified Noble Power Equipment and Central City Tool Supply so far in a preliminary search.
Okay, and now, and unless I read this wrong, it seems like the person has to commit and purchase this equipment, and then they can apply for the vouchers?
The way the program is currently proposed, they would apply for the voucher before purchasing any of the equipment.
And then once they have,
okay,
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
Once they have the voucher, they would then move forward and purchase the equipment, submit to the APCD the receipt of and proof of purchase, and then we would issue a voucher. Or I'm sorry, we'd issue the check for the value of the voucher.
Okay, so they're guaranteed then with that voucher that that piece of equipment is going to be replaced?
Yes.
Okay, and then it says the location of organizations, whether an organization, this is on page 6, is located in or operates equipment in a state designated AB 1550 low-income community. Does that mean also, how are you going to designate the low-income community, I guess?
The state has identified the areas throughout the county that fall into this AB 1550 low-income community, and Director Adam has titled this the Mama and Cub. It's the Mama Bear and Baby Bear regions of the area. And I don't know, do we have an image of the 1550 as a backup slide?
I do not have one here.
Okay. Do we have access
You
to?
don't have the mama and the baby?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Too bad.
Do we have access to the web? Because you could pull that up on the website to show.
Yes. Hopefully.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Adam, but Director Hartman has been being patient. Director Hartman?
You can go ahead, Director Adam. I just wanted to make a closing comment.
Director Adam?
Yeah, I was just going to make a comment while they're looking that up. Maybe possibly reach out through the Ag Department to landscapers with permits. And I'm sure that they have a list that they could share with you from Ag Department, and maybe get that into the hands of the people who actually use the tools, and then maybe there'd be more people that know about it.
Chair Williams, Holly Sierra.
Yes, Director Sierra?
Just a quick, the timeline on page 5 of our report has public applications November to December. Wouldn't it be easier if we offered it twice a year? So if somebody hasn't heard about it in November or December, that they still have an opportunity to turn in an application later during the year? It seems like it's not that much notice, and somebody's going to hear about it and tell another business about it, and the other business will be interested, but whoops, they're going to have to wait until next year to apply. Thank you.
Last time when we launched the program, we were flooded with applications in the first few days. It was a very successful program. So with limited funds, I think it would be difficult for us to allocate it in 2 separate years. One aspect that may be a good opportunity for us, depending on how the California Energy Commission proceeds with the Cali VIP incentive funds, if that is pushed into next fiscal year, we may have an additional $100,000 that we can earmark to this program that would allow us to do a second call for projects.
That's how I would propose that we implement Director Sierra's suggestion, is simply go ahead with this, but if we can work out some of the elements of the pilot program, like its effectiveness per dollar and so forth, and it still is wildly successful, then bring it back as soon as you see an opportunity for a second round of funding, so that we get a second opportunity for these business owners. And obviously, if a number of people apply and they don't get it, then we have a list of people that we should let know about the next round. Is that responsive, Director Sierra?
Thank you very much. That's a wonderful idea.
Director Hartman.
I just wanted to say, it sounds like the state is likely to regulate this in the next 7 or 8 years, but I still think this is a really good program to introduce people to this. And I can't tell you how many complaints my office gets about the noise, and can't we regulate this on the noise aspect? And so the electric makes it much quieter, and it also makes it much safer for the operators of the equipment. And I think that it helps to introduce this new technology in a way that people can accept it, and word of mouth. And I really applaud. I thought it was an excellent presentation, and I really am glad that our district has funded this program.
So is that a motion?
I move we accept the report. Is it, or move staff's recommendation, maybe a better way to say it?
Yeah, because this is a program, and the staff will allocate the $100,000 of grants. The motion by Hartman, a second by Hart. Any discussion on the motion? I don't see any from Santa Maria or from here.
Question?
One question, Director Adam.
Calling for the question.
Oh, calling for the question, all right. Is there any public comment on that?
No public comment.
Okay, roll call, please.
Director Perotti?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Mosby?
Aye.
Patino?
Aye.
Sierra?
Aye.
Lavanino?
Aye.
Hart?
Aye.
Hartman?
Aye.
Murillo?
Aye.
And Chair Williams.
Aye. Motion carries. H2, Annual Air Quality Report.
Discussion item H2, 2019 Annual Air Quality Report. Receive and file a presentation and 2019 Annual Ambient Air Quality Report for Santa Barbara County.
All right, this is our last presentation of the day, and it will be provided by Joel Cordes, a principal monitoring specialist in our planning division. Joel leads the agency's monitoring efforts countywide. This presentation includes a lot of charts and graphs and data as we summarize for you the 2019 air quality readings that we were able to gather. And so we thought, unlike last presentation, as Joel walks through the presentation, if you have questions on what he's presenting, I think it would be best to ask those questions throughout his presentation.
Chair Williams, members of the board, like Aaron said, I'm Joel Cordes. So I'm going to present some highlights from our 2019 annual air quality report. So I'm going to show what our network of stations look like, discuss some of the exceedances of the air quality standards and some of the trends. I will present data from a special purpose PM monitor that we located in San Ynez, and finish with a look at the Air Quality Index annual statistics. Just for your reference, in case you don't know, this picture is of one of our air monitoring stations. It has some older particulate monitor samplers on the roof and a Met tower nearby. This map is showing the locations of our air monitoring stations. We have stations located in the major urban areas as well as the rural areas to cover most of the area of the county. In 2019, we had 16 stations measuring a multitude of pollutants. 9 of these stations measured ozone, when 7 measured nitrogen dioxide, and then we had 3 stations that measured both sulfur dioxide and carbon monoxide. We also monitored hydrocarbons and hydrogen sulfide at 2 stations. We've got at 5 stations, we collect PM10, which is the coarser of the particles, while at 4 stations, we measure the finer particles of PM2.5. Most of these stations also measure wind speed, wind direction, and temperature. During 2019, we deployed 8 portable monitors to measure particulates during prescribed burns and smoke from wildfires. We also ran 1 special purpose PM10 monitor at our San Ynez station, which I'll talk more about later in this presentation. And we had up to 36 low-cost sensors set up around the county to measure particle levels. Also in 2019, we closed 3 of our monitoring stations, which allowed us to reallocate those resources to other monitoring activities. So there are 3 ambient air quality standards for ozone. There are state and federal 8-hour ozone standards set at 70 parts per billion. Although the levels of the standard are the same, the calculation methods for the standard are different, so the counts end up being different during different years. There's also a state 1-hour standard set at 95 parts per billion. During 2019, we had 1 day where we exceeded both the state and federal 8-hour standards on the same day at 3 different stations. Los Flores Canyon was the highest with a measurement of 72 parts per billion, which is just 2 over the standard. We also, Carpinteria and Paradise Road also read 71 parts per billion on that same day. We did not exceed the state 1-hour standard in 2019. So this chart shows a 20-year trend of the annual ozone levels. The red line plots the 8-hour ozone levels, comparing it to the standard of 70 parts per billion, while the blue line plots the 1-hour values each year, comparing to both the state 1-hour standard of 95 and an older federal standard of 125. So these show an overall downward trend with some variations for the last 4 years. There are also 3 air quality standards for particulate matter. The state has a daily PM10 standard set at 50 micrograms per cubic meter, while the federal PM10 standard is set at 150 micrograms per cubic meter. There is also a federal daily PM2.5 standard set at 35 micrograms per cubic meter. In 2019, we had 17 days where we exceeded the daily state PM10 standard and no days over the federal PM10 or 2.5 standard. Santa Maria had the most exceedance days at 16. Lompoc had 3 days. Las Flores Canyon and Santa Barbara both had 4 days, while Goleta had 2 days. In 2019, it shows a drop from the prior 3 years when we had more local fires affecting our air quality. So these two charts show 20 years of trend data for PM10 on the left and PM2.5 on the right. I put both of these charts on the same slide just to show the similarities in their trends with each other. On both charts, the red line shows an annual mean compared with the standards, while the blue line shows the 24-hour values compared with the standards. Again, we see a drop in 2019 after 3 years of higher values. These two charts show the seasonal variation in particulate matter. The blue bar shows the monthly mean of daily PM10 on the left chart and PM2.5 on the right chart. The green bar shows the monthly mean, shows the maximum daily concentration for each month. We saw low concentrations during the rainy winter months, December, January, February, and there was wind events in March, April, June, July, and September, which produced higher values during those months. And in October and November, there were some fires which produced even higher levels due to the smoke. In September of 2019, we installed what we call a special purpose PM10 monitor in our San Ynez air monitoring station to evaluate the PM10 concentrations in the valley. We called it it's called a special purpose because it has no regulatory impact and we can run it without any implications. 1 year later, in September of 2020, we removed the monitor and installed a PM2.5 monitor to run it for another year to evaluate the finer particles. The chart on the left shows the monthly mean and the monthly max of the daily concentrations at the San Ynez location. The chart on the right shows the same from our Santa Maria monitor, which typically measures some of the highest levels in our county. Overall, the Santa Ynez monitor was lower than the Santa Maria monitor. There were 11 days over the 50 micrograms per cubic meter state standard compared with 16 at the Santa Maria location. There were higher values in the spring, summer, fall, and lower values in the winter months. Most of the high days at Santa Ynez were on the same days as area-wide wind events, which produced high values in Santa Maria also.
One thing on that slide, Joel, is the title or the labels on the PM10 for Santa Maria. The green bar, I believe, is actually the monthly max.
You are correct. They got switched here.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out. We need a better proofreader.
Don't worry, it doesn't take away from the bottom line point, so please proceed, Joel.
Okay, the Air Quality Index, or AQI, is a gauge classifying the health effects of multiple pollutants on the same scale. The AQI for the county is the highest measuring pollutant each day, which is typically ozone or PM. An index value of 0 to 50 is colored green, meaning good air quality. 51 to 100 is yellow for moderate air quality. And 100, above 100, there are different colors for unhealthful air, starting with orange, red, purple, and maroon. In 2019, there were 286 good days in the county. This is the highest number of good days in the last 20 years. There were 78 moderate days, and we had one day where the air quality was unhealthful for sensitive groups. We had no days in the unhealthful or above categories. So to summarize, in 2019, we had a relatively clean year for ozone. We had one exceedance day on the same day at 3 locations. The PM10 was lower than the prior 3 years, but we still had 17 days over the standard. These were due to high wind events and some smoke from wildfires. The PM2.5 was also lower than the prior 3 years with no exceedances. And we did not exceed any of the other standards for nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, or carbon monoxide. So that concludes my presentation, and if there are any questions.
Questions from the board?
I have one.
Mr. Lavanino.
Thank you. Joel, on the 286 good days, which, as you said, is the best we've done in 20 years. So good is 0 to 50 and moderate's 51 to 100. What are we, I'm just curious how close we are on the moderate days, or it's nice we have no unhealthy days, and like you said, we don't even ever get into we don't even talk about the red, purple, or maroon. But how close are we on 0 to 50 on most of those days?
If I understand the question, you're saying like, are those days 49 versus
Correct.
10?
Yeah. Right.
Just off the top of my head, I'd say we're usually in the 30 to 40 AQI range.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Other questions from the board? And of course, this good news of the 2019 report should be tempered with the fact that 2020 will not look as good because of the fires and smoke.
Yeah, unfortunately, next year there will be some red, maroon, or purple, so it will change next year.
Is there a motion to accept the report?
I think we have to call for public comment.
Yeah. Is there public comment?
We received no public comment.
Great.
I'll move that we receive and file this. But I did want to thank you. I check it almost every day, the air quality, especially when it's, smoky. And I know there's a new fire happening up north, whether it's going to, no, it's in San Bernardino County. If it's going to come this way, we don't know. But thank you. Now I see your face, and now every day I check it and I'll think of you. Thank you. Yeah, hide yourself. So that was a motion, sir.
Is there a second? There is a motion by Murillo, second by Hartman. Roll call, please.
Director Perotti?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Mosby?
Aye.
Patino?
Aye.
Sierra? She stepped away.
Hi. Didn't make it?
No. Hart?
Aye.
Hartman?
I'll probably get it right.
Aye.
Murillo?
Aye.
And Chair Williams?
Aye. Motion carries. And if you didn't have enough of today, you can be a masochist and watch it on rebroadcast on Sunday, October 18th at 5 p.m. on our Santa Barbara County Channel 20. And we will adjourn this meeting for 1 p.m. on December 17th.